Okay, good evening everyone. Just to make you feel that hopefully you enjoyed the smooth jazz that we had playing when we came in. And when I did get called out earlier, I got asked if we wanted to do music, and so I requested some smooth jazz. And lo and behold, there it was. Thank you, Nick, for that. If I could introduce myself, my name is Tony Goodman, Deputy Teacher with responsibility for quality of education. And if I could introduce Ms Edavine, who is our Assistant Head Teacher with responsibility for curriculum. So I'm aware that some people have just arrived just before this presentation, so just a little bit about what this evening is, but I'm also aware that some people have already been round and seen lots of subjects already and spoken to lots of subject teachers, and there'll be more opportunity for that afterwards. But this evening is all about giving you as much information as you need to help you make decisions based on the options that our young people in Year 9 will be taking to go on to their courses in Year 10 and Year 11, and then ultimately might be looking forward to going into whether they go into sixth form, whether they go into college, or whether they go into the world of apprenticeships and employment, etc. So this evening is about giving you as much information as we possibly can about those option choices. First of all, I'll pass on to Ms Edavine to talk about the policy.
Okay, so as I'm sure most of you are aware, there are certain subjects that are compulsory. This is what we call our core curriculum. All schools in the UK have to study certain subjects, so everybody that has an early Year 10 and 11 will be studying our core curriculum. So that's English language, English literature, 2 separate GCSEs, maths, science, which is the combined science course, everybody will follow, religious studies, GCSE. Religious studies is compulsory by law for all students in the UK up to 18, and we choose to enter students for a GCSE in that subject. Digital skills is our core computing element. The 3 subjects at the bottom are not examined, so our digital skills course is about equipping students with the computing knowledge and technological know-how to get them through the world of work and the kind of increasing technological age that we are living in. PE, or games, as it will show on students' timetable, is 1 lesson a week. Again, it's statutory, keeping students active. We call it games on the timetable to differentiate between games and GCSE PE, which lots of students do take. If they take GCSE PE, they will still have their 4 games lesson as well. And then PSHE, Personal Social Health Education, elements of which again are statutory, and they will have a lesson a fortnight in Year 10 and some elements of that in Year 11. So that is what all students have to study. The bit that they're really interested in, of course, and we went through this with students this morning in assembly, are which subjects can they actually opt for. So these are the subjects that we offer, and I need to make it really, really clear that these are not option blocks. It is not that if you choose a subject from the blue section over on the left, that you can't do any combination of those. We require students to choose one from the blue list to fulfil, again, the government requirement that students have a broad and balanced curriculum. They could choose history from that list, but still choose geography from the other list, because all of those subjects are also in the list on the right-hand side. So it isn't the case that they can do either computer science or triple science, they can do both. But we require students to choose one from the blue list and then any 2 from the list on the right-hand side. Because we're such a big school, we are very fortunate in being able to offer a huge variety of subjects. So subjects that students have never studied before, like media studies, business studies, we have lots of creative arts subjects, and it's absolutely fine for students, for example, to choose dance and drama, for students to choose art and dance. As long as they're choosing one from the blue list initially, all of this is explained in the options booklet that students should have pushed out now on their iPads. Just to give you all a little bit of information about what the curriculum will look like going into Year 10 and 11. This is our curriculum model. So this is the way we plan how many lessons in each subject students will have. So the 29 boxes across the rows represent the 29 lessons in our week. And each lesson is allocated to a specific subject. So at the top row there, that's what our students are currently experiencing. That's their current curriculum. So they've got 1 lesson of PSHE, 4 lessons of maths, 4 of English, 5 of science, double DT, 2 lessons of PE, RE, the humanities subjects, MFL, digital skills, the blue box, and then whatever 2 performing arts subjects they chose in year 8. That will then change when they get to year 10, obviously because they've chosen their options. So they've got 5 periods of maths. 1 of those a fortnight will be given over to that PSHE lesson that I referred to a moment ago. They'll have 5 periods of English. There's 6 science periods covering that combined science. So 2 biology, 2 physics, 2 chemistry, with 3 separate specialist teachers. Digital skills, 1 lesson a week, RS, PE, and then there's 3 options for 3 periods a week, whichever options they choose. The only change when they go into year 11, you will see the digital skills lesson has now gone. We feel that we've now equipped our students by the end of year 10 with that core computing knowledge that they need. They might choose to study computer science or IT, so we will be continuing that basis, but everybody else, I think that year 10 lesson is enough, and that period then goes to English. So they will then study English for 6 periods a week, because they are being prepared for 2 separate GCSEs, English language and English literature. So that just gives you an idea of what their curriculum will look like. Because I've no doubt that some of your children will tell you. So, advice for students. Advice was given to students this morning. This, I must reiterate again, for everybody, really, really important when they choose their options. It sounds obvious to say choose what you enjoy and what you're good at, not what your friends are picking. But every year we have students who choose a subject because their mate picked it. And then they find they're not in their group when they get to year 10. No, I don't want to do this. And the mate's not in my class. It's highly likely that their friends are not going to be in their class, especially if they pick a very popular subject like history or geography or business studies, where we have 4 or 5 option groups. So it's really, really important that students don't go down that route thinking a subject is all the mates are in it, might not go and go to another subject. They will be thrown in the mix for their options, people from the whole year group. Choose the subject, not the teacher. Similar advice. I had a favourite teacher at school. Lots of people have a favourite teacher, but you might not have that teacher when you get to your GCSE subjects. As I said, we have 5 history groups, 5 history teachers. Your favourite history teacher might not be teaching you. So students need to really think about the subjects that they enjoy. Think about getting a good balance of subjects, and as I said, we don't make students pick from blocks. They are free to choose the creative subjects alongside perhaps the more academic, written subjects, and get that balance. That balance might include the EBAC.
Okay, yes, and I do want to mention to you about the English Baccalaureate. Now, what we said at the outset this evening was about giving you as much information as possible to make informed choices. And some people will be more familiar with the English Baccalaureate than others. It dates back many, many years, English Baccalaureate, but it was reintroduced into schools almost 10 years ago when Michael Gove was Secretary of State for Education. So the English Baccalaureate combination, and that isn't a qualification in its own right, the English Baccalaureate combination is what is deemed to be an academic broad range of subjects. So it includes English language and English literature, maths, science, and then to take that combination, students would then also have to choose geography or history, and a language, be that French or German. Now, of course, due to the compulsory nature of a number of subjects, in school, all students will always study those subjects. Anyways, all students will do English language, English literature, maths and science, and then to take that in that combination, it's about having geography and history, or French or German. Now, just to give you an idea behind the research behind this, and I was really clear when I mentioned to students this morning, that this is not my research, this isn't Mr Goodman saying you have to do this for this reason, this is the government research, and I do want to share that with you. So on the government website it says the English Baccalaureate is made up of the subjects which are considered essential to many degrees and open up lots of doors. A study by the UCL Institute of Education shows that studying subjects including the EBAC provides students with greater opportunities in further education and increases the likelihood that a pupil will stay on in full-time education. Okay, so it's about what the government believes is these are the subjects that essentially will keep lots of doors open. And certainly we are aware that a number of students in Year 9 think, well, I'm really not sure what I want to do with my future. And ultimately, that it may be that they consider the English Baccalaureate as a pathway that they wish to follow. Now, to be absolutely clear, we do not believe in forcing every single student to take the EBAC suite of subjects. There are schools that insist that every single student has to take the EBAC combination. However, what that does, that we don't want to do, is restrict choices. And certainly want to give students as many opportunities to pursue the subjects that they really enjoy and can excel in. However, it is important to realise that some schools are doing that, and our students, our young people, will be competing against those students when applying for further education, apprentices and jobs. Now that isn't to worry anybody in the room, but it's essentially about that research, if that goes back there, that research that the government's put forward. And this evening is about just making sure you're informed. We do ask every single student to consider the English Baccalaureate when they take their option choices, and we'll show you what the form will look like in just a moment. However, what we want to stress is the English Baccalaureate is deemed to be a greater set of academic subjects, as we will. This is already mentioned about the talented subjects of art and music, and absolutely we feel they're important as well, which is why we don't insist all students take the English Baccalaureate. However, if you are strong at English, you are already well placed to potentially do well in the EBAC subjects. There are strong links between performance in English, performance in language, and performance in the more written subjects like geography and history. And therefore, for any student who is in set 1 for English, the form will look slightly different. And the only difference will be this. The first question will be, do you wish to pursue the English Baccalaureate, or do you wish to opt out of the English Baccalaureate? And if the answer is I wish to opt out, we're just asking the reason why. And the reason for that is so we can be confident that it has been considered as part of the process. Okay, that isn't to say that reason's not good enough, you have to do the English Baccalaureate. We just want to be confident that students who perhaps are well placed to do well in that combination have seriously considered it. So if you do see that on the option form, that's why. Okay, pass it up.
So students will receive an electronic copy of the options form in their email next Wednesday. So next Wednesday is Year 9 Parents' Evening, and we're deliberately not sending that form out just yet because it's important that you get the input of the teachers on Parents' Evening. It might be that at the end of tonight, some of our students say, I definitely know what I want to do, and then come next week, when they hear that they're absolutely excelling in a different subject, they might change their mind. So next Wednesday, by the time you get home from Parents' Evening, the electronic form will have landed in students' emails. And the first thing that they will see is this, a little bit about the EBAC, and as Mr Goodman says, the first question will be, do you wish to follow the EBAC pathway? If they say yes, they will see a form like this, and you can see this on the inside of your little leaflet with your map on. If you've not picked up one of these, please do so. Please don't want to play out. But they will see these questions: which humanities that you want to pick, geography or history, and then which languages that you want to pick, French or German. We fully expect, if students this year are picking a language, it's going to be French, because that's the language that this year group has studied throughout. However, we do offer both languages. If somebody does desperately want to start studying German, then by all means put it on the form. However, that comes with a little bit of a warning, which I will refer to again in a moment. Courses that don't attract that many student choices may not run. So we don't really expect many people to pick German, if any, but as I say, it's there as an option for you. So if you choose the EBAC pathway, you choose your humanities, you choose your language, and then you choose any one from the list on the right hand side. In addition to that, you need to opt for a reserved choice. You don't use option locks. One of my jobs at the end of the whole options process is to put everybody's choices into locks and into the timetable. And occasionally, there are clashes with subjects. You just can't fit them in. And at that point, the reserved choice becomes really important. It doesn't happen that often. It's not happened for a few years. But it is possible, especially if a student picks choices that are fairly small options. So things like dance, where it's likely there will only be one option group, health and social care, where there will probably only be one option group, then it's possible there may be a clash. At that point, the reserved choice is really important. If they choose not to study the direct pathway, their form will look slightly different. It will look like this. So it will be choose one from that list, the blue list that I showed you earlier, and any two from the list on the right, plus a reserved choice. What I've just said there about courses might not run. If we have fewer than 10 students picking an option, then we need to look very carefully in a school with 270 plus students in a year group, whether it's feasible to run that course. Again, it's pretty rare that this happens, but last year we did have one course where only 4 students opted for it, and at that point I went back to those students and said, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to offer that option. If that happens, I will not just put students in their reserved choice without a conversation. If there's any clash, if there's any subject that won't run, I will go back to your child and say, we've got an issue here, we need to discuss what our choices are, and I will contact you as parents and parents. It's not the case that they'll come to school in year 10 and get a timetable for subjects that they didn't pick. We'll always have that conversation if there are any issues. So the Google form is sent out on parents' evening. By the time you get home on parents' evening, it should be there in the student's inbox. Initial choices then, we ask that the form is filled in by Monday the 13th of March. However, after that, all students will have a meeting with a member of the senior leadership team to discuss their choices and make sure they're absolutely certain those are the subjects they want to pick. And we will have that conversation with some students about have you considered the feedback carefully. By the end of this half term, by Easter, all choices then will be finalised. So we're asking the form to be in by month the 13th, but if you go to I don't know, a football match and you decide, oh, I've decided I want to say GCSE PE instead, and I didn't put it on the form, we can still have that discussion in that week following.
So, the next steps then, the immediate steps. So obviously this evening, lots of you have already been round and seen lots of the presentations already. If you've just arrived, just let you know that there is a map on the back, and I'll just mention that again in a moment, telling you where those subjects are. We have asked the subject teachers to speak for around 10 minutes, and then there should be some opportunity for some questions at the end. So just do get round and try and speak to as many of the subject teachers as you possibly can. If you've not yet had a look for our options booklet, that's been pushed out on the students' iPads. It's also available on our website under the curriculum drop-down. You can see our options booklet on there. We do have a small number available this evening if anyone isn't able to access it electronically. Obviously, they are quite a hefty document, which is why we haven't printed copies out for everyone. If you do need a copy, then we've got some with it this evening. The students themselves have been using Unifrog. And that is something, if they haven't shown you, what that does is give information about careers, subjects that might lead into certain careers, it might give more ideas. We aren't expecting that students will choose their future career in Year 9. But what we are asking them to do is have a look at what they might be interested in and what subjects might lead to something they might be interested in the future. Unifrog is a superb piece of software for that, and all students have got to log in for that. Then, of course, we've got Parents' Evening next week, and do take that opportunity to ask questions. So the students can ask, what sort of progress am I making? Would you recommend that I should do this subject at Key Stage 4? Or do you think I do well in it? And that's a fantastic opportunity. The Google form will be live immediately after Parents' Evening. It will be in the students' email. We are deliberately sending it to students' email. We're mindful that if we send it out to every contact detail we have for yourselves, we could get 3 or 4 different forms back for each student. So that's why we're sending it out to the students' emails with a very clear explanation that that conversation has to take place with yourselves before they fill it in and send that back. Regarding the meeting with the senior leadership team, there is the opportunity for yourselves as parents and carers to be contacted if there's any questions you have about the process. Lots of those meetings that we have with the students, lots of those are just, let's go through the reasons why you've chosen them, and one of the things that comes up most common in those meetings, students will still say, I've chosen that because my friend has chosen that, and that is absolutely a reason we will not be accepting for any student to choose an option. It's got to be about what is their interests. So that may be something where we contact you and say, really not sure about this course and why they're choosing that course, we may contact you. However, if there is a particular question you've got, we would like to contact you in the first instance, there's an option on the form there to fill in. We can just give us some contact details and we'll be in touch straight away. So that form is due in on the 13th of March, as Ms. Edley says, and then we'll arrange the meeting with SLT just after. Like I said, the majority of those are just a quick conversation and we submit those options.